One of the biggest injustices that Marvel Comics has done is what they've done to Spider-Man. There is literally no way, shape, or form to defend what Marvel Comics has done to Spider-Man over the years. They have gone out of their way to systematically ruin his life. He's a superhero, he's going to encounter struggles and stuff like that, no problem. But they have set out to just take everything that had been built up so good about the character, dash it to the ground, step all over it, and then throw it in the garbage. And that's what they've done to Peter Parker / Spider-Man's life. It has not been pretty at all. And they have no intention of stopping. They had literally just something that just continues to roll along. I came across this article from Fandom Pulse, and I wanted to go over it to give you a better idea of what's going on. I'm going to say again to Fandom Pulse, really nice article, really appreciate it. Check out Fandom Pulse when you get the chance. Get into it here. Peter Parker gets cocked in new Amazing Spider-Man issue, and the internet notices Mary Jane's new boyfriend is a Zeb Wells self-insert. It seems to be like every time you mention Peter Parker's name, you always have to put cocked in there somewhere. At this point, you just change it into Peter Cock Parker and done with it. But there always seems to be that inclusion of it, of somewhere or another, Peter Parker is getting cocked. Let's get into it. Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells has caused more than one uproar in recent years. But the Peter Parker cookery takes the chicken. Well, it's got that. Marvel Comics seems to have tried everything they can possibly do to keep their readers from wanting to purchase Amazing Spider-Man over the last couple of decades. Now the internet is mocking the latest in Zeb Wells' run as Peter Parker gets completely cocked by what appears to be a self-insert character who's dating Mary Jane, referring to Paul, because Paul is never enough, yeah. So as this thing here, I love you with how it all went wrong for Peter Parker and Mary Jane. But anyway, so they go over how all of this really go on, some of the stuff that has actually happened to Peter Parker. Let's go through this. The troubles for Amazing Spider-Man started with J. Michael Straczynski's run and Sin's Past. In this abomination of a storyline, Gwen Stacy gets ruined forever as it's revealed she slept with Norman Osborn in the first cocking of Peter Parker to have 2 children with him who came back to attack Spider-Man. Yeah, that was a really stupid run as well. Not to outdo himself, Straczynski then penned the infamous One More Day, in which Peter Parker sells his soul to the devil, ridding of his marriage to Mary Jane Watson in exchange for his frail old aunt getting a couple more years, if that, back on her life. The thing about it is that's when she had gotten shot and he went and did this whole stuff. It's a run that people do not like. People hated how they removed that marriage between those two, and Marvel made it very clear they have no intention of ever bringing it back, but that's what's going to do. The storyline was so atrocious that even J. Michael Straczynski wanted his name removed, claiming it was an editorially mandated train wreck by Joe Quesada. Again, this is what I'm talking about. The people at Marvel, the editors in charge and everything, don't want Spider-Man to grow up, to have a life, to have a family, to be happy. Nothing. For years, Mary Jane was the pillar that held him. Peter would go out there, do these things, fight as Spider-Man, protect people, and sometimes come home. I remember this one story I read at a time when Peter Parker came back home after this really challenging fight, and he was injured, and Mary Jane treated his wounds and stuff and stayed with him. That was love. That was what Peter needed. Needed somebody to hold on to when he had to do these things. But they don't care about that. They just decided to do whatever the hell they want. Since then, Dan Slott took the reins and had Otto Octavius take over Peter Parker's body in a weird situation where it appears Doc Ock raped Mary Jane in his Superior Spider-Man. I did not know that, if it really did happen, because that whole, Otto Octavius taking over Peter Parker's life was just really stupid. There's no other way it was just really, really stupid. I mean, I could understand if it did it for like maybe a 2-3 issues or that, but it ran for longer than it needed to, and it was just really ridiculous. That whole Superior Spider-Man nonsense just wasn't working at all. At all. Readers have mostly rejected anything in the main line of Spider-Man, since much of this has occurred since the situations insult the characters and long-time fans. If he were alive today, one can only imagine what co-creator Steve Ditko would think about what Marvel Comics has done to his creation. Well, I'm guessing he would be throwing up and beyond pissed to see what they've done. Honestly, because the way that these characters were created, the messages that they were supposed to send, the uniqueness, the interesting amazingness of all of it, and see what that dashed on the ground so you could just grind it into powder is absolutely ridiculous. Zeb Wells has been universally reviled by readers left and right as one of the worst writers in Amazing Spider-Man history, which says something given how poorly Marvel Comics has treated the character. I mean, yeah, when it comes to Zeb Wells, we just read some of the stuff that these writers have done to Spider-Man. To have Zeb Wells actually be the one who people will consider to be one of the worst writers in Amazing Spider-Man history, you had to really screw up. And I'm telling you, there's no way he did this without being told, listen, we need you to make Spider-Man's life as miserable as possible. He was like, okay, I can do that, no problem. And then he just went with it. The storyline opened with Mary Jane having disappeared into an alternate dimension and coming back with 2 children, which outraged fans, and later was revealed that they weren't hers. It began with what would be a sour taste to years of bad comics that people wish would end. Now, let's give you a brief rundown in case you don't know. The whole thing started with this whole, what did Peter do? They have this whole thing with Spider-Man in this giant crater, looking disheveled and rough, and this, what did Peter do? Everybody was wondering what had happened. When the story began, Mary Jane hated him. Aunt May hated him. The Fantastic Four hated him. Captain America hated him. The villain still hated him. Everybody just hated Spider-Man without any explanation as to why. There's no explanation as to why everybody hated Spider-Man. None. Only to find out Peter didn't do anything at all. Mary Jane ended up in this other dimension with him. He got sent back. He needed to get to her as soon as possible because she was trapped over there with some madman who had some tattoos wanted to kill her and that thing. Time was moving faster over there, so for him it was only a couple hours had gone by. When he got back over there now, about 2 years or something so had passed, and the guy who they met over there, Paul, she just suddenly hooked up with Paul, and these 2 children that they found on the side of the road, they decided to take in. Of course, the children turned out to be imaginary and nobody cared, but still, that was it. And then when they came back now, she basically told Peter, listen, I'm going to stay with Paul because all the years of love that we've had together means nothing. I'm going to stay with this guy who I knew for 2 years and I suddenly decided to hook up with. I'm telling you, why does nobody realize Paul is evil? I am still very convinced that the Mary Jane that Peter met over there is not the real Mary Jane. I think, honestly, that if she is the real Mary Jane, Paul either did something to her or made some kind of clone of Mary Jane that will only love him. Honestly, I think those are the only realistic reasons as to what's going on, because that whole switch was just way too sudden. And Paul looks as nefarious as possible. That's it. From here, the Amazing Spider-Man team turned Mary Jane into a superhero called Jackpot. Here, this is the horrible nonsense of it here. This is it. Absolute ridiculous. I'm this gauntlet that does give her any power that she wants. The suit looks stupid as well, but okay. In a completely cringy move, then the book was used to do a publicity stunt death of the new Muslim Ms. Marvel, who was brought back only a few months later in a different book, and nobody cared. Nobody cared when Kamala Khan supposedly died, in inverted covers, they died. Nobody cared when she came back, in inverted covers, again to life, and nobody cares about her, period. That was just it, nobody cares. Literally nobody cares. That was just it. Much of the storyline has been really incomprehensible, as Zeb Wells has thrown the kitchen sink at this run. From magical spears that capture sins, when Craven took Norman Osborn's sins and then it got into Peter and he became all crazy and shit like that, to an alternate dimension parody of Spider-Man named Wreck Rap. Nobody likes Wreck Rap, nobody cares about Wreck Rap. It became difficult to follow, to say the least. The series jumped the shark in a recent issues when they revealed Peter Parker as a Spider-Goblin. Boy, was that stupid. Boy, was that stupid. But now readers are making fun of another scene where Peter Parker gets cocked by the mysterious Paul, the man Mary Jane came back from the alternate dimension with at the beginning of the run. Yeah. So this is a scene here. Peter apparently goes over to their apartment for dinner because for some reason he doesn't hate the hell out of Paul and the fact that this man literally stole his wife. You know. So she's there. Thanks for coming over for dinner, Peter. And he's, are you kidding, MJ? Paul's chicken korma is always worth the trip. Freaking moron. And Paul, you want to take some with you? And he's all, nah, figure I'll swing home and see if I spot any trouble. And Paul is, never a night off. And Peter's all, you know me, fighting crime is a passion and a responsibility, I've heard. Like, how are you acting so nice with this guy? This guy literally, but they have to fight every reason to just cock the hell out of Peter Parker. So he takes off there and Mary Jane is get home safe and he's, we'll see. Ay. Then next thing, Paul is there. Speaking of responsibilities, I've got an early morning. And Mary Jane is still working your way down the list. Yeah. Okay, I've got some shopping I can do in the West Village. Let's call it a night. How do they maintain a life? I don't know. Because last I checked, Mary Jane doesn't have a job, or does she? I'm not sure. I saw she was like day drinking water. I don't know what the hell Paul does do. Think he's an engineer, you know, most likely some evil engineer, but whatever. But they ram it out here as well. In the scene, Peter Parker is having dinner at Mary Jane and Paul's apartment, where he thanks Paul for the chicken as he undresses to become Spider-Man. Mary Jane tells Peter to get home safe and the two call it a night together as Peter leaves. The scene made the internet go wild as it appeared like Peter Parker was in a triple situation that looked like a meme version of cuckoldry happening in Amazing Spider-Man. It is. They literally cocked him because now he's just cool with this guy who stole Mary Jane from him and that's supposed to be okay. The funniest part is that Paul has been revealed to be a Zeb Wells self-insert. The crack investigators at Spider-Man observed that Paul looks suspiciously like Zeb Wells with dark hair, causing the internet to roar with laughter over the scene depicted in Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, maybe. But to me, I don't really dig, I don't really care. With fans loathing this run, thankfully it will end soon, as it was announced a few months ago that Zeb Wells would be off the book. Still, the damage is done. Can Peter Parker ever be recovered as a character? Now, here's the thing about it. There is a scene in a new comic, a new Amazing Spider-Man, where Peter is going on a date with this different woman. And they're trying to stick the politics out there like, he's moved on from merger and all that thing, but it doesn't play off very well. I will do a video about it soon enough, but I just want to let you all know that that's coming up. But this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is what you've done to Spider-Man yet again, cut the life out of him and act like he's supposed to be okay with everything because that's what's going on. Yeah, this is what they've done. This is all the respect that they have for Spider-Man, for Peter Parker as a character. They don't care. They're perfectly happy to keep ruining his life and act like, well, he'll get over it one day. That's all. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put up another video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.